Good morning from Tucson, Arizona and the Yarn Closet. We are at Grandma Kitty's house. It feels like we haven't done this in ages. Whoops, we gotta put these on. I am Yarn Closet AZ on Instagram. We are the Yarn Closet over at Patreon. You can follow people on Patreon for free. I have put a couple of loom knit patterns over there for free download. There's a crochet pattern for free download, and there will continue to be future patterns for free. And I have figured out how to post a video over there, so there will be some instructional tutorial things possibly to go along with those videos. It's great if you participate in the podcast or support the podcast. Some people have commented on that. All of the support for the podcast goes directly into the gifts that we give out 4 quarters during the year. And the gifts go to people who are supporters and participants. So, because people have complained about, well, don't just give them to supporters, you got to give them to participants, whatever. You know what? We don't have a business. This isn't promoting some big financial endeavor for us. This is dollar for dollar going right back into what we're sharing with you, which is the availability to get sock tubes out into the world and let people try something that they can't always. Or
and it's a hobby.
Whatever. It's to just enjoy. It's to just have a little fun and connect.
And connect. That's the best part.
Yeah, so it feels like we haven't done this in a long time. We are going to do a brief talking tutorial on loom knitting. We don't have multiple cameras to be able to set up and get different shots, so we'll do our best. But there are plenty of other professional people doing the tutorials you can look for.
But I'm going to learn a new thing.
Yes, because Mom's sight has gotten worse, and so we're going to teach her the loom knitting because it had just occurred to me, well, that can be very satisfying and easy. And things are potentially going to get worse even from this point. Some people criticized my last podcast that I talked about the daily blind issues.
They did?
They did. Oh. I'm sorry if it offends you
weird.
that I talk about that. The bottom line is, yes, it is hard for us sometimes to talk about. It touches an emotional nerve. I'm a girl. But I think it is important to educate people. Many people came back and said, you know, this person in my life was blind, but I never knew it. They didn't talk about it. I didn't know how I could help them. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's a big thing, especially in the elderly community. I used to run a group in a nursing home for people with vision loss. The elderly, whether male or female, do not want to share that. It makes them feel too vulnerable.
And embarrassed.
And embarrassed. And I want to get this out there so that we can stop.
Yeah.
So we can include and be inclusive to as many people as possible.
And we should not be embarrassed about anything. You know, whatever we are, we are.
You do you is a thing now. You do you. I'll do me.
Your 4-year-old.
If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it.
Your 4-year-old sums it up very well. Well, that's the way God made me.
Yes, about everything.
Yeah. Mm.
So we also may be sharing new little tidbits as Mom starts to go through more things. And she starts to realize some of the things that she didn't realize 15 years ago when I was going through this. Like the time I showed up at the grocery store with my son and some woman assumed I had found him or stolen him. Because how could a blind woman with a cane have an infant, toddler, toddling around?
And we're going to show some fun things. Okay, Lynette, are you watching? Are you watching, Lynette? I finished it and I attached that piece, the quilt piece on the back. And guess what I did?
I have no idea. You're going to share it? Where is it?
Oh, I put it on upside down. Grab that microphone that's laying over there. Okay. This is the dumbest thing I've
Mom, it's a quilt square. How would you know if it's upside down?
No, it's upside down on this.
Oh, you put it on the neck and not the...
No, watch this. Okay, so this is the thing that Lynette was...
Mom, that's exactly the way you said you were going to do it.
Okay, I'll show you why it's upside down. Okay, so Lynette, remember how I made the wonderful Rita shawl? And I made it so that when I sit down, it exactly ends at my waist because I don't want the cat to lay on it.
Right.
She's already... Okay, so where is the pocket?
The pocket is right here.
Yes, and I made the pocket... I put the pocket on so that when I would have this on,
it was on the inside.
Pocket would be here, so my Kleenex or whatever could be right here, or my phone or something. Okay, so I go to put this thing on. All right, you guys remember how I said I had leftover quilt blocks? Okay, so I said I'm going to put one of these on the back so that when I have it on and I'm sitting in a chair, it's perfectly down. Can they see this?
Yes, they can see it.
Okay. Goes right down the middle of my back. That worked. But when I put it on, it was supposed to be this up here. So I put it on this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go down here. But then the pocket was supposed to be on the inside. So either I had to have the pocket on the inside or...
Well, it looks fine now. It's
Yeah.
quite lovely. You fixed whatever you were trying to do.
But look at this. For those of you who know anybody who's a quilter, ask them if you can have some of their leftover quilt blocks. Because all they have to do is put a piece of fabric on the back. You put them front to front, zip, zip, zip around on the sewing machine, actually all four sides, and then lay it on, and then this is the hardest part. Try to hand sew something onto a knitted piece, a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got that one for the pocket and this one on the back, and it just goes down and covers the middle of my back. So that's my finished object. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Okay.
All right.
I'll put this back on you.
All right. And everybody look at my hair. So you know the saga of my bad haircut and my all this stuff and going white and stuff. So this, Laura said in one of her things, oh, my mom's hair, it grows faster than anybody's that I know. Mm-hmm. It does. It grows at least an inch a month. Today is...
But now that it's
October
coming in
25th.
curlier, it doesn't quite seem that way.
But
it's
at
quite
how-
a bit longer back here. Yeah,
And-
this,
Yeah.
it was like shaved your head like a man's. I mean, and you've got length.
And in the back here, it was only a ½ inch.
I would let it grow out more before
am.
you trim more brown off.
Yeah.
As annoying as the brown is, I'd still let it get longer throughout here before you trim more
Yeah.
off.
But look at you guys. Look.
Yeah.
This is the crappiest thing. So if you're coloring your hair, keep on coloring your hair. Because you try and grow it out, you either have to go in and have all this. And look, this is, right here, this is 2 full months of growing out my bangs. It looked like and these were long. And this part looked like a rat crawled up on my head and chewed my bangs off overnight. I don't know, but I'm liking it now. And I like how naturally curly
Can
it
you
is.
please not do that?
Oh, sorry. But look at, now I'm just in the picture and you're out.
Don't be so snotty on purpose. Be nice.
I'm trying to be nice to her. I am being nice to her. Okay, then we got that yarn that
Here, now
Ruth
there's more room.
sent, and it's that alpaca. Oh, is this soft? You know, it feels funny compared to some yarns when you're doing it.
So some people are actually allergic to
Because of-
mohair, angora,
And wool.
no, mohair and angora,
Yeah.
and alpaca can feel similar to that. It does have a different texture. It feels a little scratchier.
Yeah.
Most people, even if they're allergic to the hand spun, the less processed wools, a lot of people aren't allergic to the very processed superwash wools. Something happens in that process to make them less reactive to it. But yes, there's some Angora in this, like 10%, and it still feels scratchier, itchier.
Yeah.
But once you wash and dry it, the yarn is going to change.
Yeah.
Once you block it, the yarn is going to do something they call blooming. It's going to fluff up, it's going to get softer, it's going to have some more stretch to it.
So this, I started and I'm doing seed stitch on with my handy dandy circular needles.
Yes.
And
But
this
do you
is
see
a
how we're
hat.
both doing,
And-
why are you doing it not on a 16-inch circular needle?
I know. See, that's the part I missed.
But do you notice how we're
that?
both using bamboo? Because we've fallen in love with the fact that it's just,
It feels different.
it's your hands don't get as cold, and the yarn, for those of us that don't see as well, it doesn't move around as much. You're not as afraid you're going to lose it.
As the middle
So
ones.
you need to get these same size in 16-inch, and then connect it to do
Yeah.
the hat, because you'll have something like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can help you with that if you need it.
Yeah.
But I want to show you now.
But look at, guys, I remembered, when you're starting out, put a marker on the front of it, because then you'll never forget when you're saying,
Okay,
I
but
can't
hold that
remember.
up next to this. Look at that seed stitch compared to this seed stitch. Hold it up in the same direction, Mom. That's the wrong direction. Now put yours forward, because yours is darker. It's harder to see. But do you see how that seed stitch turned around?
Yeah. Why is mine so different? Did you do 2 and 2, or did?
No.
Is it because it hasn't been washed and yours has been washed? You've worn
Maybe.
that hat for years.
I had it for about 15 years. But, and this is, I think the reason it is because one of my stitches was done slightly off. You can, in loom knitting, you can do a knit stitch in 3 or 4 different ways. Okay? But see, this is seed stitch on an uneven number of pegs on a round loom is the easiest thing in the world. And that is something we're going to teach Mom today.
She taught me something this morning I didn't know. Because I said, you know, I've got a bunch of these and I like to use these. But after you throw the paper away, which you shouldn't, it says on them what the millimeter is. So if this is 8 millimeter, I thought, well, great, I've got 8 millimeter. But if I'm making a hat, see this? I don't want it to be on one that's this long. And I thought, well, then how will I ever know how long it is? And she taught me that all you do is you get your tape measure, start from one end to the other end, and it'll tell you. So, because I thought you only go by the cord part, and you have to add
The needles.
2 needles to it.
Yeah.
So then you can do it, and because Joann's has such a good sale all the time with a 50% off of one real priced item, and then a lot of the 20% off total purchase. So I can go in, use 2 coupons, buy 2 more sets that we want of different sizes for the price of 1, and then still get 20% off. So that's a deal.
Right. You know, you can buy them in interchangeable, where the cord isn't fixed, where you can change the cord length.
Yes, I saw that, but can you do it on the bamboo ones?
Yeah. Yeah, you just look it up on Amazon. Interchangeable bamboo needles.
Oh,
They're just, to buy the whole set, it seems quite spendy.
well, I
However,
saw a
you
set
have
there.
it.
Yeah, I saw it there, a whole set for gazillion dollars.
Right.
So let's show them the loom thing. Or did you have something to talk about? And guess what else I finished, you guys? So, oh, look at this. Isn't this
sweater
neat?
2019. Remember that I started out with this one. I used a pattern as a jumping off point for stitch count. It was supposed to be done in panels, but I wanted to do it from the bottom up in the round. So then you get here and you do one side and you do the other side and then you attach here. But the way I did it, these shoulders were very pointy and squared off and I didn't like it. So I took out just the neckline, okay? That's all I did. I just took out the neckline, went back in and did raglan decreases as I did my ribbing for the neckline to pull the neck in. Now, the thing that happened is it also kind of pulled it up. So I lost at least an inch. And I'm not a fan of this actual crop. I would want it, you know, longer by 2 inches, maybe 4 inches max. It's just not my thrilling thing. And then all I did was do the ribbing here. But in doing this, somehow my arm hole was a little bit smaller. So it's a little bit tight. But it works. It fits. I think having this longer bit of ribbing here and how in doing it from the very side, gave it a bit of that weekender look because the ribbing goes out so much longer. Gave it a bit of that weekender look. The Weekender is a certain sweater that's popular by Andrea Mowry. But I like it. It worked out, and I was certainly warm and toasty on my little scooter ride this morning. So that is a finished object from Sweater 2019. I have now accomplished as many sweaters as I said I was going to. I think I've learned quite a bit. And I'm certainly motivated to keep going. And I made a couple more of these. Here, you wanted one of these?
Yes. Thank you.
That's Grandma's dishcloth pattern.
Yeah.
Cotton linen. I made it a little bit bigger because I like bigger.
Yeah, I know, because you have to be able to have your hand on it.
Right.
Yes, thank you very much.
And so then...
I could do this, couldn't I?
Probably. You have to follow a basic pattern.
Okay, that's
only on the first either 3 to 5 stitches. When you're going, because you start here, so when you're increasing, you only have to worry about the first 3 stitches on each row. And then when you start decreasing, you have to worry about the first 5 stitches. So it's not that much harder.
Okay, I like it.
But can you read what this says? Here, read this one.
I'm too old for this shit. Oh, Laura, where did you get that?
This is an Amy Beth Fat Squirrel bag.
Oh, funny.
So, there you go. Now you have something pretty to put your stuff in when you take it to Gaslight or wherever. And it's funny and your people will get a kick out of it.
Yeah, they will.
Because I know you feel too old for this shit right now. All this shit that you're going through.
You know, and I just have to say, it's not the worst thing in the world. And, you know, our whole family goes blind, so we don't think it's a big deal. It's just when it's you, drummer, it's a big deal.
Because certain people got made fun of, I think Mom and I are just more concerned about not being made fun of, not.
And another thing that Laura's really good at, she said when Connor was little and I said something, help your mom, and he was, I mean, like 2 or something, hold her hand. And she said, Mom, never do I want him to be responsible for me because of my sight. I am still his mom. I'm still going to be responsible for him first. He'll just learn things. You know what both your kids are learning from us? How to cope.
Yeah,
and
how to just keep going.
Good. You know that she was trained as a chef using knives. Oh, scared the bejeebers out of me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to learn this. Okay, so can I show them one other thing that I finished?
Yeah, show them one other thing.
Okay, because I'm so excited when I finish something.
I know.
Okay, so, and this turned out to be, look at I finished, you guys. Is that the right size? Yeah.
This is considered the right side. You just have the couple of blips.
I know, but the patterny thing for this
Oh.
has to be on that side.
Okay.
I know. So, and I started the doohickeys on the wrong side when I added the color. So I learned about, you know, being consistent.
This edge business
Is wonky.
Yeah. There's a way to deal with that.
Okay.
You do 2 extra stitches. And your first, is it just your first stitch or is it your first and last stitch of the row? You slip it. You don't actually work it. And it makes a tighter edge thing.
Oh, anyway, I had leftover and I wanted to make a little tiny blanket that Prue could just have like over her shoulders or something when she sits in her little chair.
Yeah, 4-year-olds don't do that. But she'll use it with her baby blankets.
But she does at our house.
Oh.
You know, because it's different because it's Grandma's house. And Grandma says, you want to sit here and then put this on you and read your little books to me and I'll have my coffee. And she's the teacher doing that. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Wait till you're a grandma. It's fun.
So,
Okay.
so there have been some other stuff. People have questioned about the looms. You can buy used loom sets on Amazon. You can find them, or on eBay. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them in thrift stores. Mom just made a thrift store haul.
Oh my gosh. And I bought a huge bag of looms for, it said $5. Then I get up to the counter and the lady said, oh, that's 25% off today, so it's only $3.75. So I went back and I got another bag that had 3 of these.
This is called a knitting board.
Yeah, and I got 3 of those in a package for $2. She says, oh, that's $1.50. And then she says, oh, and then your husband gets his discount for military. And so she rang the whole thing up and she said, you got all this. I must have $50 worth of looms for like $5, guys.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you some of the examples of looms that we have. This is called a knitting board. You can find them fully plastic. You can find them with nails or cotter pin type things. You can find them wooden with the sometimes plastic, usually metal. And this you wrap, most of the time you wrap across so you get a double thick piece, okay? Or you can wrap just on one side. But remember, your panel isn't going to be as long as your board is. It's going to
shrink down. Okay.
So that's called a knitting board. Okay. This can be used like a knitting board, but this is actually a sock loom. This is what I'm talking about by metal pins or pegs. Mm-hmm. And you just unscrew this and shift it to get the size of sock that you want, the number of stitches. And yes, if you wanted to take this all the way down here, you can now do circular knitting and go back and forth, or you can do like a sockhead hat, because the space between the pegs is what determines your gauge when you're using looms and knitting boards. So this is designed for sock weight yarn. I would at maximum do a sport weight in here. This one, see that? Easily a fluffy worsted or a chunky, or use 2 strands of sport or DK or worsted to get whatever fabric you want. Then there are round looms. I like them that have the plastic and that have the little river here to help you feel and catch the yarn. I do like these the best. These come in a variety of sizes. You can make a sock, like a slipper sock on this size loom. This is a 41 peg. So you can do, where did I put that hat? This size loom made this hat. So easy, so easy. And that's what Mom wants to learn how to do, so that's what I'm going to talk the most about today. But I would like to point out the fit. Bam. Or if you're really into this hipster hoo-ha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that hipster hoo-ha.
Hipster.
Yeah, you can do that. I got to cover my forehead. I got too big of a forehead. But I did very little, if any, effort to make this a neat or cast on. I did a gathered bind off. I mean, this is just the simplest, easiest adult hat. There is also one other thing.
What is that?
These make I-cords.
Oh, and this you could use to make the cording for the over-the-shoulder water bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you want to have cording in your slipper sock, or if you want to take a hat and turn it into a purse, you weave cording through here, and then you've got a purse.
Cool.
There are simple ways to really utilize this form of yarn love. And I think that people write it off a bit because of all the plasticness and assume it's childish. But it's just so easy for people who've lost the sensitivity in their hands, who've lost a lot of their sight, and they want to still do something.
And where we used to live until 3 years ago in a senior community, the craft group.
Oh my God, this is so hot.
Yeah, I bet it is. The craft group, you'd see them, they would have their meetings, and a lot of them were sitting with this. So you always knew primarily who the ones were that were having problems with their sight, because they used a lot of this.
Yeah.
And this ridge business that you're talking about, yeah, a lot of them said they liked because they could feel it, and it was easier for them as they went along.
Right.
What I'm showing you is this.
You're not even in this frame, Mom.
Here, like that.
Yeah, we'll
There's
get
your
there.
ridge. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, this is going to be a real godsend because a lot of them use that.
So right now, I believe I have...
And they made a lot of things that they donated over to the Kids Cancer Group.
I posted this pattern for free, the teddy bear pattern.
That's older than the hills.
And I've had it
both
for
your kids have
12
used
years.
it.
12 years.
Both your kids.
I posted a pattern with a ribbed hat and ribbed fingerless gloves. I have other patterns that I will be posting and putting out there.
Okay.
And like I said, as people question things, I might post instructions, whatever. But what you have to remember is most of these patterns are like 15 years old, before Ravelry. Back in that day, I got things test knit, but that was unusual. And I certainly didn't have them technically edited. However, most of my patterns were pretty high standard for the day and the time. Now you look at them and you think a 6th grader did it, and you just laugh, maybe a 4th grader. So keep that in mind. And the other thing is, when you're getting something for free, don't complain about it.
There you go.
Okay, now you need to learn about your loom. This people use as a marker for the beginning of the round. They also use it to wrap their tail on to just kind of secure it, but you can only do that so far for a little while in your knitting. Most people use it just to indicate the beginning of round. You can still put stitch markers on these to indicate when you want to do things, because the bottom line is you can do almost anything in knitting on a knitting board. You can do yarn overs, you can do knit two togethers, you can do lace patterns. You just have to stop and think about how to interpret that and whether you need, like what kind of space you need for the yarn you want to use between here. And then there aren't that many stitches. You can do a knit stitch, you can do a purl stitch. You can do an E-wrap stitch, which is the one a lot of older people use. It doesn't give you something that looks like stockinette, but it's still a very nice fabric. You can take your hat as you're making it. Okay, so this is coming down from the loom, and I get it this long, and then I pull it up on the inside and put this around, and then the next row I stitch it together. So now I have a folded brim hat. And it's just easy. So here's the deal. You also need a pick. And then you need your yarn. And you'll figure out what size looms and what yarns you like the best. And you still do a slip knot. You place it. You place your slip knot. So you've got your working yarn on the outside, your tail on the inside. And how you work an E-wrap. I'm going to do this and see if you can see it when I get to your side. People watching in the YouTubes, is you wrap it kind of like a cursive E, and you sort of have to be old enough to understand what that is.
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm doing?
Cursive E, yeah.
I'm just wrapping it. And you don't want to wrap it super tight. You'll figure out your own tension. Because what you do is you need to have 2 rows on your loom. I'm just going to go back. You need to have 2 rows on your loom to make your stitches. It's been a long time. I think it's been 2 years since I've taught this to a bunch of kids. Okay, and then what a lot of people will do at this beginning of round is they just tighten this so that it doesn't loosen up for your first stitch. But the bottom line is you really don't have to go to that trouble. If you just hold it and knit off your first stitch, then it's secured. Okay, so knit stitch, the easiest way to do your knit is to pick up the bottom loop and put it over the top loop and into the loom. Okay, see if you can see this as I'm coming around. Can they see it?
Mm-hmm. And that's why going down that ridge makes it so
yes,
easy.
so if you really can't see, you can catch the ridge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little shaky today. There's been family drama. I had to work hard at not having a panic attack. Okay?
Okay.
So now that's 1 row. Oh, and I think I just did microphone to you people. This microphone's better be working. We better be recording sound, because if we're not, this is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you push that row down. And you E-wrap. The trick to the E-wrap that you have to remember is, Mom, do you see how the yarn from one peg to the other is on the inside, not the outside?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see how the yarn from one peg to the other is on the inside, not the outside?
So you're wrapping from the inside always.
So you've got to keep the space between the pegs on the outside. As you do this, your knitted piece is going to fall down into the inside of your loom. This is certainly not faster, but if you can't do anything else, you can do it. And I got actually quite fast. I could loom knit faster than I can currently knit. My husband saw a hat I made for my friend's son, And he liked it, which is crazy because it was in OD green and it was very basic. So he wanted me to make one for him, and I find this out at bedtime on Saturday, and he needs it by Wednesday. So I worked every spare minute, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it was done Tuesday afternoon. But there are people who could knit that hat in 4 hours.
But it isn't as though you can sit and do it all day long either, because you have kids and a husband and...
But Mom, I still
stuff.
spent more than 4 hours
Yeah.
doing it. I probably spent 20 hours doing it.
Yeah.
Where somebody else who can see better and whatever, they're going to knit a lot faster.
But this is going to be a godsend for me.
You can't really see the fabric that this is making yet. But as it comes down...
And always remember to pull it down, okay?
So then you push your stitches down. Okay. So let me show you how you would do a knit and a purl. So I have shown you the E-wrap knit stitch, okay? And I'm going to show you the E-wrap purl stitch. And that's how you wrap. Okay, knit 2. Okay, to purl, I went under the bottom loop, caught the top loop, pulled it, put it back on. So,
Under the bottom.
catch the top loop, and put it back on. Under the bottom, catch it, pull it off, all the way off, put the loop back on. Yes, that seems time consuming, but if this is all you can do, you can still do it.
Right. It gives us an option.
Right. Okay. There are people, and I'll show you in a minute, there are people who do it this way. Do you see the difference? Do you see how I haven't wrapped a bunch?
Yes.
Okay. So you can do a knit and purl stitch by just laying that top row of yarn over the peg. So you only ever have the one row looped on the peg. Because now those were the purl stitches. So then those are the knit stitches.
Oh, clever.
Now the thing about this that can be so interesting is if you want to do a garter stitch pattern on loom, you can actually do 2 rows at once, because you can do a few pegs in, because garter stitch on the loom, if you're doing a flat piece, you're starting at this peg and you're ending at this peg and you're going back and forth, is you're knitting a flat piece. So 1 row is knit, 1 row is purled. Okay, so in a loom, you wrap all your stitches and you do like 4 knits, and then because your yarn is over here and you just started to knit, now you just lay your yarn across to do your purls. So now you're getting 2 stitches done in one pass.
Wow.
Like 2 rows done in one pass. So by the time you get back over to this end with your yarn, you've done all your knits and all your purls for 1 row. You wrap again, you come back here.
Wow.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what you're going to be able to see right now is, you see how there's a lot of space between these stitches? It's going to be lacy looking, but it is going to also sink in 3 or 4 rows. Your piece is only going to be this big. You're going to lose length when you're doing a flat, because even though it's a round loom, you can do round tubes that then you can make into hats, or you can start at one peg, end at another peg, and go back and forth, and you're working flat. The reason you would do that is the width between your pegs. Maybe you want that specific look of your yarn on that gauge. Or maybe you have a smaller circle that has 24 pegs, but the knitting board of 24 pegs or the single board is this long and it doesn't fit in your purse, but the circle does.
Okay, I've got a question. If you started at your starting point, and instead of making it circular, if this, say I had this and this is all I had, but I want to make something that's flat like a blanket.
I just said that.
Yeah, I can do that easily.
I just said that.
Yeah.
So you'd use this side peg, you start here, you wrap
Get up to there.
here, and then you knit off, but you never cross these two pegs. You never connect these two pegs if you want a flat piece.
So what I'm saying is, if you wanted to go out and you thought, gee, but what if I want to make a blanket? I have to have the long one. You don't. You just need one, and you could do both.
This
Fabulous.
is actually going to give you a bigger piece than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This is an 18 peg knitting board. So if you want a flat piece that's not double thick, you're just knitting off one side back and forth. This is 18. This is 41. You're going to get a bigger flat piece, single thickness, if you work off these pegs. It's your smoke alarm, Mom.
Yeah.
I don't know why you don't just take the battery out.
Well, because I don't do that. Ed does. It just started doing it, so.
Because if you get a knitting board that has a peg here in the middle and a peg here in the middle, you can actually go all the way around. Okay? Many of them don't. Many of them just have pegs on the side. Don't think you can go all the way around on a board like this, because the space between these two pegs is going to be much bigger. Your gauge is going to be off. You're going to have a ladder or something. But because this one has these extra pegs here, it's the same space, so you can actually go all the way around, and you can do, so this becomes a 38 peg loom. So you can do a 38 peg hat. If this 41 makes a slightly bigger hat than you need, you can actually make a hat on one of these that comes out round. Because if you knit it in the round, this is just a circle that's been smooshed.
Well,
but remember that the gauge is the space between pegs and the kind of yarn you're using. The gauge and the look of your fabric. So, okay, we're going to try. We're going to do our best. Okay, it's this side that has 2 loops. So what I showed you before was the basic E-wrap knit stitch, where you're just picking up from the bottom and flipping over, okay? This is the basic E-wrap purl stitch. You're going up, you're pulling it out, and this takes, if you're going to do this, you want the wrapping to be a little bit looser. And you pull the whole thing off, you hold your loop, you pull the whole thing off, and then you put the loop back on. And I just split my yarn, which is never fun. Okay, so that's a purl.
okay, do it one more time.
Up, up.
Hard to do it backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's easier if they're down a little bit from the top. Up, under, and you want to hold on to that loop. Get it off the peg, and then put that loop back on. Now, if I'd thought about it when I was wrapping, I would have wrapped a little bit looser, and this would have been much easier and would have gone faster. Okay? But now, like I said, if you're doing garter stitch and you've wrapped all the way and you're doing a flat panel, so I've done this row, say, of knit stitches, and then I'm going to do some purls for my second row up. I just lay the yarn across. You can do this with a knit or a purl. You can lay the yarn across and just flip it over for a, that's the one that's split, for a knit stitch where the yarn is just laid across. It's going to be, when you do that, it's going to be much tighter between your pegs. So you have to consider that as well. But,
okay, let me try this.
So this is 41 pegs. So you wrap the whole thing. Then you wrap the second row. And you start out and you knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and you keep going and you pass this mark and you just keep doing knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. You never have to worry about where your row starts or stops. All you have to worry about when you set down your loom is to know if you can read your knitting, if you can tell whether you just knitted or purled it, or you do something, back in the day when I did a lot of this, or you do something consistently to indicate to yourself what you stopped on. So if I stopped on a knit stitch back in the day, I'd put a little rubber band around it. So I knew my next one was purl. If I looked at it and there was nothing, I knew I stopped on a purl and my next one was knit. If you can't remember it, write a note and pin it inside your project bag. There you go.
Clever. Thank you so much, Laura. Okay.
So these are double wrapped. Pick this one up and just put it on the inside. Flip it over the top. It's very, no. What are you doing?
Oh.
Take this off.
And just flip it over.
Flip it over.
All right.
That is the basic stitch. I personally think you should make one full hat of that basic stitch only.
All right.
Before you go into something else.
I can only learn one thing at
And
a
that's
time.
fine. This is like learning knit stitch first.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to wrap the pegs to the end.
Okay.
Yep.
Wrapping on the inside. Wrapping like an E.
Yep, like an E. Yep. Okay. Then you just hold this, get your tool out, flip this one over, and now you've secured that stitch. You don't have to worry. Now just flip it over. Because we were in the middle of the row, what she doesn't understand is what she's going to create this time as we do this is a short row. You can do short rows on looms. You can do heels on looms. That's it. So then just push it down a little bit. Okay. Now come from here and wrap again.
Okay.
Did you see how I did that?
The first one you went around.
Because you got to
like
get it
that.
there, and then you're on the
Then
inside.
ease.
Yep. And don't do it super tight. Make
Okay.
sure that it's a little bit loose.
All right. Have I gone far enough?
Mm-mm.
Keep going.
Go all the way down, and then knit your first one.
All right. And now, what do I
Just
do?
hold on.
Hold
Take
on
your
to
hook.
it?
Just knit the first one. Yep. Yep.
Oh, this is good. Okay, I can do this.
You absolutely can do this. And you can make a hat on here. I think I made one for Ed. I think you could make one
Ed
that
still
just
has it.
Yeah, that would even fit him. But yeah, you can make adult size hats on here. If you do just a knit stitch hat, it's going to be a little bit large for a woman maybe. Because that being seed stitch, it pulled in a little bit more.
Okay, got to the end.
Yeah.
Now,
So then you push them all down.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you wrapped a little tight. Can you
Did I?
feel it? Can
Yeah.
you feel how things are tight?
Yeah.
That's
So
what you need.
go-
That's why you need to do one just straight tube hat in the E-wrap, so you learn how to wrap and how loose things need to be.
Okay, so now I start this again. Always do from the inside.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I
Yep.
do
You
it?
did that.
E-
Now come here and do that.
E-wrap.
That's exactly what you do.
Okay. You know, I don't have the depth perception, and so trying to...
You'll get used to it. You'll learn where this hand is, and that hand will automatically start to
And then just
flip over.
flip over.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
And go through this row, and then I want to show them something on here.
All right.
So I had my hair in a ponytail the other day, and my son came home and he's like, "Oh my gosh, look at you got gray hair!" I had gray hair. So we had some shenanigans at my house. Many more than I care to count. But the big ones are that my son is really maturing. Although his memory is not always the best. And we've had some moments with the school. But you know, there comes a point where you got to give them enough rope to either succeed or hang themselves. And that's the only way they're going to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, do you see this, people? Do you see this? Yeah. That looks like a knit stitch. Because I used a thin worsted weight yarn, single-stranded, that's why we got this ladder between our knit stitches, okay? It's because of the gauge, the space between here. So do you see this? Do you see how that's a stockinette? This is stockinette. There you go. It's your stockinette stitch.
Yeah.
Now, the way to get around that is to use chunkier yarn or to hold two strands together and wrap your peg, and just remember that the bottom two have to go over the top two. There's one other way to do it. You wrap your peg 3 times. You take your bottom row over top 2 rows.
Oh.
That also gives you a little different gauge. But do you see how the fabric is all falling on the inside? And do you see how it's pulling in? The longer it gets, the more in it's going to get.
So I'm thinking, geez, this would make a really big hat.
No.
But
No.
it doesn't, because when you take it off, it just all
Shrinks in.
shrinks in.
Yeah.
This is, oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah, so you're actually getting stockinette stitch.
Wow. Cool. Okay, can we take this off so I can start it with this one?
Yeah.
All right. I've got this wool ease.
That, Mom, look at what that is. It's the same yarn that I use for my sweater.
I know. I was going to...
I told you to get the regular woolies, not that one.
But I like thick. Shouldn't I have gotten this? I can take it back.
No, it's fine. But if you want stitch definition, you're not going to get stitch definition from that chunky yarn. This is the wool ease, the regular worsted weight wool ease, and that gives you stitch definition. Now, you don't have to get stitch definition on your first project. So if you don't want it and you just want a chunky basic hat, just make a chunky basic hat. Who cares?
Well, part of the problem yesterday was when I went to get it that I left your 4-year-old in the car with Grandpa and said, just give me 15 minutes in there so I can get this.
They can never give you 15 minutes.
No.
Okay, how do you start?
And then I see, all of a sudden, I see her coming down the aisle hand in hand with Grandpa. That's my
Slip knot.
slip knot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go from the inside.
Yeah, go from the inside is a perfect way.
Should I put on this side of the pig
No.
or this side?
No. Don't go from the inside. You put it on the outside, and then you put your tail on the inside.
Okay, tail on the inside.
Now you got to start wrapping.
All right.
Don't wrap at the top, otherwise you're going to have to go around and push, and don't have them so tight.
Okay.
Don't wrap so tight. You need it to be loose.
All right. All right.
It needs to be loose.
Yeah. So I see her walking down the aisle not
loose.
5 minutes later with Grandpa. And she says, hand in hand, and she says, I have to go potty right now. I have to go to the bathroom or I will wet my pants. And she said just like that. And I thought, you little stinker, you convinced Grandpa to let you get out of that car because you wanted to come in here and be by Grandma. So, of course, she went to the bathroom and then said, and I'll just help you. So she was my helper, but oh my gosh, that child was funnier than heck in there saying, oh, look at this, look at this. Oh, this one is so soft. This one, it was like that cake thing, you know, and she held it up by her face. She says, oh, can you buy me this one? And I'll pretend it's my own cat and I'll just sleep with it.
So the cat is starting to come in her room quite a bit, even slept a couple nights in her room. She's just almost over the moon about it, but not quite.
I think I should have this yarn in the middle of the thing.
Nope.
Nope.
The yarn needs to stay on the outside. Your work is going down in the inside, Mom.
Oh, you're right. That's why. Okay. Okay. I almost am done here.
And then you have to do a second row.
Yeah.
But remember, when you get to this last peg,
just
keep going.
Keep going.
So I have been making hats galore. You know, getting rid of that hat machine, I never really knit a regular hat other than, oh, hold on. Yes, Connor? Honey, I'm right here. Connor, are you on the phone?
Hey, Mom?
Yeah.
Check your texts from Grandpa, okay?
Okay. Bye.
They're out. Grandpa and Connor are out doing an errand. Queen size.
So this cat keeps peeing on Connor's bed when she gets anxious. The lady at the cat place thinks she needs to be on Prozac. Because it's literally anxiety, but also she's very finicky about her cat box. So I clean her cat box every morning. But if there's not enough litter, like I don't have enough of the 3 inches or whatever, she gets kind of annoyed. She'll go pee on his bed. So now I have a sheet, then I have a plastic sheet, then a sheet, then a plastic sheet, then a sheet, and the comforter. But I have an old 90s washer and dryer, so it's easy for me to feel.
And it has a post in the middle.
Yeah, top loading, whatever. And I can do short, since I do such small loads, I can do very short load washing. So if I do like a small load of laundry, I don't want it to go for 35 minutes. It doesn't need to. I think I conserve way more water than these new machines. Now,
Okay, now I'm
the
doing
last
it.
one that you wrap, just hold this taut and flip this over.
Okay. Oh, I'm unwrapping.
Yep, you're unraveling.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now just hold this taut and do that one.
Flip over.
And then go do that one. Now, if you want to work your yarn, work through the loom this direction or that direction, it doesn't matter, but you have to stay consistent.
Okay.
So pick one.
All right.
And remember, try not to let them get all the way to the top, or you got to do that extra step of pushing down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so great job, guys. So the problem is I have a thin comforter on his bed. It's full size. But the only extra comforter I had the last time she peed on the thing was like a week ago, and it was my Queen Plus comforter. So it actually like goes over. I think it's actually a king size comforter because it actually goes over on my queen bed, and it's heavy and thick, and I can't wash it at my house. I have to take it over to Mom's
because I have a handy dandy washing machine that your
Digital fancy.
that your husband, when we bought this, said, oh, holy cow, look at this washer. This is a pricey thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, pricey? Oh no. Pricey means lots of buttons and stuff. And my least short time is 36 minutes.
That's insane. That's like water wasting.
Yes, it is.
So
But I don't
So
have
I need
the
a new.
middle-
So I need
don't
a
have
new comforter, so I can have 2 thin comforters. So if we have to switch out, because we didn't realize she'd done it until right before bed.
Yeah.
So we sent the boys on that. Also paint, because we had a plumbing issue. And so now to repair that slump block. Remember, I'm always talking about the slump block. It's the same block on the inside as the outside. Some of the outside walls they did in 2 layers of slump block and then put your pipes in between. So you have to break through the brick to get to the pipes because we had a leak. The plumber then realized that it had already been fixed, but fixed badly. And then we couldn't find any slump block bricks the same color as our house, because nowadays when they use the slump block, they do it all in this like cream, grayish color. Ours are red. So he put in the replacement pieces and it looks fine, but they're the wrong colors. But it's only on this small wall underneath my back patio where I've got a sliding glass door, the window over my sink, and then it's right below that window. So I'm just gonna paint that small chunk of brick wall green, this sagey green that I love, because there's not enough green stuff here. And it'll actually make that area a lot lighter because my back patio is a bit dark.
We say that we have turkey gravy beige.
Yeah.
Is our state color,
Yeah.
but only here. Okay, I'm doing it.
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Right, now you're done. So
Now
now
I'm
you
done.
wrap again. And you did a very good job at keeping the ones that were left on. Yeah.
Okay.
So
now
now wrap.
always wrap to the right, but I'm always gonna. I like to do it
That's
this
fine
way.
as long as you're consistent.
Yep. Okay.
You just have to be consistent.
You're a good teacher, Laura. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm an okay teacher.
Yeah. So believe it or not, Laura has a different kind of site than I do, and so she has like a chunk of site that is a good.
Oh yeah,
chunk.
so here's the, I gotta turn down my brightness.
And so she
So
can do
here's
things
the
like
green
painting.
that I'm painting the brick. See how the brick is kind of orange?
Yeah.
So then we have a couple of these that are that light whitish gray color. This is my front entry alcove. So there's the locking screen door,
Security screen.
and then this alcove to my front door. And it was so dark. I just painted that green while he was away one day. Because I try to do all my projects while he's away.
Husband.
My husband's away. So it doesn't disrupt him, so that, he can nap when he needs to nap, sleep when he needs to sleep, whatever.
Okay, now I'm at the end, so now I'm
Yep.
going to hold on.
Do that last
And
one and maybe
do the
the one
last
to the
one.
other side, and then it's secure enough. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I've been like pounding out the hats because I sold that hat machine. I didn't like the hats that it produced because I couldn't figure out how to use the ribber. And it's been so freeing for me. What I have found is I love to make hats because they are so fast. Once I figured out the crown decreases, I just love it. So I've been doing a lot of that. I finished that sweater surgery. I am trying to do a knitting pattern, blanket pattern. That's kind of different. I've never seen one put together this way. It's like a slightly different construction. But it comes from a free pattern that's out there, so it will be a free pattern. And then I'm going to get started on...
Look, it just did. Oh no, it fell off.
Right, so then, because what you did when you first did this, is this your wrapping fell off?
Yeah.
Like you've just started wrapping, or you're just ending wrapping?
No, because I was all done
okay.
wrapping.
So
Yeah,
all you do is
just
you
go
just
back.
go back.
Yeah.
And then this seems awfully strange, but you'll have to do that unless you want to figure out how to make it looser.
Yeah. All right, I can do it.
Yeah. And because I went through that gizmo of looms that you got the other day, I threw away the ones that were stupid. There are these things called flower looms. They're just stupid. Then
Yeah,
you had
but don't throw stuff like
Mom,
that
I
away
did,
in the
because you
future.
cannot use it. Trust me.
No, but I could donate it out to Trails West.
Nobody there could use it. They're not tactile enough for people who can't see. And then you had a couple of broken ones, so I was able to get some extra pegs. Mm-hmm. So don't ever feel like if it's so tight, I mean, just work that stitch over and loosen it in the next go round.
Yeah.
Because even if you break one or one pops out, you just put it back in, you glue it in. If you break one, we have some replacements.
Okay.
You can, if you break pegs, you can buy replacement pegs. I've even put in small dowels instead of the plastic replacement pegs. It just all depends on what you feel comfortable with.
What else?
So yeah, so I'm gonna, and the mosquitoes are so bad this year. I can't figure out what it is. Our neighbor said the same thing.
We're not supposed to have mosquitoes right now.
I know.
And it's actually cold here. Oh my gosh, it was down to 50 last night.
The nicest thing is
Up
I
to
turned
90
off
yesterday.
turned off the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Because in the morning it's like 66 in my house. Because we can leave a couple of the windows open because we have security bars on some of our windows. They're home. And so it's like 66 in the morning, which is fabulous. I open a few more windows. It gets down a little bit further to like 64. So I can turn off the air conditioner because even at the worst during the day, it's only getting up to about 76 in the house.
Yeah, because it was 90 outside yesterday, but remember, we don't have any humidity. It was like 8% humidity or something. In the wintertime, the weather report will say minus 7% humidity. And I always thought, when we first moved here, I thought, what, does it just suck it right out of our bodies then?
It does.
Yeah.
It actually does.
Which is why our skin is so dry.
Why we wrinkle faster, why people have to worry more about the dehydration. Did great, honey. Thank you.
Good.
We're wrapping up our podcast.
Good job, Connor.
So do you think...
Grandpa, I told you they weren't done with their podcast.
Don't worry about it. So wrap this row, knit off some stitches, and then we're going to show them the fabric on the inside of the loom and pretty much be done.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, this takes a little bit more time.
But once you get used to it,
I'll go faster.
You'll go faster.
And when I get to the point where I am not seeing the main, when I lose that central vision.
But you don't have your full central vision anyway.
What time
No.
is it?
11:30.
Okay, then I don't have to do this.
You don't have what?
Never mind.
Okay.
Continue podcast. Continue your podcast thingies.
So Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to try to show you. This is the inside. Okay, this is a chunky, the chunky wool ease, Line Brand wool ease, wrapped. These are her pearl bumps on the inside because she's doing an E-wrap stockinette. Okay. Can you see that? Can you see a couple of those? Now, you're going to say, oh, there's still ladders there. That's not good. Okay. Those ladders are going to shrink in quite a bit when she's got 6 inches of knitting, because her knitting, the tube is going to hang down in the middle here, and you're going to see how it squishes in. So she'll like the result. So what you'll get is you will get some stitch definition, not as much as others, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right.
So we are almost done. The boys are back. We should wrap this puppy up. I will say a couple more things about your bag of looms, okay?
Okay.
This is your Zippy loom and all its parts and pieces. Zippy is a gargantuan loom. Marley Bird does some really interesting tutorials. You can make these square, just a straight line.
It's Jared's truck.
No, he's not.
Sounded like Jared's truck. Okay.
He's not the only diesel in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Marley Bird does some good tutorials and walks you through some different patterns. So you can actually do that one that I texted you the other day, that Marley Bird one, with this loom. But you have little pieces because this is an expandable loom. So they're all in here.
Yes, it said corners and things like
Yeah,
that.
so those are all in another small bag inside there. Your 2 knitting boards are here. Remember, look at this one. You can't ever go around this one because this is broken. Okay? And this is broken, so if you're going to do a double thick panel, you have to start here and go down.
Okay.
Okay? This one, however, has both of these pegs on the sides, so you can actually go around here and make a large tube, or you can go back and forth across and make a double thick panel. Okay? Then you have this, which is all of the smaller looms, the I-cord one, and this one that has adjustable pegs that you can pull in and out, but it's just straight. And you've got books in both of these that will show you pictures of the E-wrap and probably the knit and the purl stitch.
And guys, this was all from the thrift store for $5.
Well, some of the Zippy one I gave you.
Oh.
Because the Zippy one, you could use 2 strands of this together on the Zippy one to get
Okay.
you know, the kind of
Yeah.
fabric that you want to get.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was informative and fun. And why is this? You know, my glasses keep catching my hair and then it breaks off because the gray is just not as strong.
Well, just wait, because it gets, the gray, when it's white, it's wiry in mine.
Yeah,
It's because of the curl.
yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully that was fun and exciting.
And if you have a chance, look up the Canadian crocheter, as she says it, and you have got to see the beard. It goes like this, and it goes like this. It looks like a beard.
A beard hat.
Yeah, a beard hat. But great idea for little kids. And
That's been around a long time, yeah.
I know, but she's showing it this week, what she did, and it just cracked me up. I cracked up over the beard part. But I thought,
They even have knitted hats where people make it look like a Viking helmet, and then they do braids.
Yes, and she did one for her daughter for costume and did the knit, yeah, and then the, yeah. But boy, if you've got little grandkids who live someplace in the cold.
Is there a mosquito in here, or is that just my eyes? This tablecloth,
I know. I've had this tablecloth
I know, but it's just hard
14
to look
years. I know.
at. Look with your heart first, people. We will talk to you soon.
And love.